So you've been thinking about building you some grow racks. Well, today we're going to get you started. Hello, backyard vegetable gardeners. Today's January the 16th, 2024, and I hope you're having a great day. We've had so many people ask us through the years about our grow rack setup and how we start our seeds indoors. So today I thought we'd make a video about our grow rack setup. It's nothing fancy, nothing extravagant, and it's pretty affordable. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to stick to the theme, making a grow rack setup for less than $300. The first thing that you're going to have to determine is the space requirements. As you can see, these steel kitchen racks, they don't take up much space, but they are 14 inches deep, 36 inches wide, and 72 inches tall. So you at least got to have you that much room, and probably at least a foot or two, at least in the front, that you can care for your plants. So the space requirements really aren't that much. Now, if you're going to have 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 of these units, yeah, you're going to have more space. But what we've got here, and you can see in about every one of our videos where we're inside the office here, we've got 2 units behind me, but what you can't see is one in front of me, and we've also got one in the kitchen of our house where my wife grows some herbs. And the one we use in the house, it's 24 inches wide, but it's about 16 inches deep. And where these have 5 shelves, the one she has only has 4 shelves. But we've made them work. They work great, and we've been using them for the last 2 years, and it's really been a blessing, to be honest with you. It's made my life easier, been able to grow a little bit of food all year round, and when it comes time to start those seeds, boy, it's a good deal. So 36 inches wide, you're going to need 36 inches of space. You're going to need at least 2 or 3 feet deep so you can accommodate for your rack, and you're going to have enough room to care for your plants. But you need to think about its proximity to an electrical outlet. That's going to be really, really important. You want to be as close to an electrical outlet as you can be, or you're going to be running drop cords everywhere. And another thing is the proximity of a water source. Now, you might not know it, but here in my office, it's about 150 feet from my house. I haven't plumbed water or sewer out here. It's close enough to the house I can run back and forth, but that's in the works. That's in the plans, I should say. But for right now, we truck water in by hand using, we reuse juice jugs. These Cran Grape juice jugs, they seem to work good. 3 liters, got good handles on them, good sturdy jugs, and they don't take up a lot of space. So those are the things you need to consider before you get started purchasing whichever rack system you want to get. So with your space requirements in mind, the only 2 essential items you're going to need are the racks and the lights. So the racks we chose to go with were the Amazon Basics steel rack systems. Very affordable, comparative speaking, to what you can find at the big box stores, whether it's Walmart or Lowe's or Home Depot. I checked online before we shot the video. We bought ours much cheaper. Now they're $71 for these 3-foot units. Still a good value, because if you go look in the stores, you're not going to find one of these steel, heavy-duty steel wire rack systems for anywhere around that price. You can find some lesser quality, some light-duty racks for about that price. But so again, we've got the Amazon Basics 36 by 72 inch racks. The main advantages of going with these steel wire kitchen racks is that they're affordable. They're adjustable. You can adjust these up to in 1-inch increments, which is really good. So you can adjust your shelves to accommodate what you're growing. But they're also very portable. Now, I don't have mine set up for portability, but I think it would be a pretty good idea if you opted to add some casters to these things. And if you had the space that accommodated, like a garage or something, you could just wheel these things out in the springtime when it's time to harden off your plants. Now, I don't have that type of setup here. I've got some tables outside, and I just take one tray at a time, and I just put them out there in the morning, leave them out there however long it is and bring them back in. And you know, when you harden off your plants, just in case you don't know, you do it in progression. You'll take them out there for an hour or two the first day, and maybe another hour added on the next day, and you just increasingly do that until they can take the full intensity of the sun and don't get burned up, don't get damaged. But we won't talk about hardening off plants. That's just a free bonus. So the next essential thing is your grow lights. And I do have some right here in front of me. I'm not going to disassemble none of my units and go through all the trouble of trying to get some good shots of that thing. I've tried shooting some video with the cell phone, and I could have used the camera here that I'm making the video with, but my skills really ain't there. I'm a better gardener than I am a YouTuber, guys. So what I did was I went in the storage cabinet where I've got some extras, and this is what I'm using in the racks behind us. It is a Barina T8 LED grow light. And that T8 simply means the size of this lamp here. The most two common types you're going to find on Amazon are T5 and T8. And what that means is this thing is 8/8 of an inch. So the T5 would be this bar's 5/8 of an inch wide. So we opted to go with the T8. It's an inch wide. I don't know if there's any benefit to that or not. I just knew in my mind bigger was better, so you get more lights. I don't know if you do or not, but they've worked really well with us. And again, this is the 36-inch model. And one thing I'll go ahead and get out of the way now, if you've paid attention to the videos, you might notice that the lights that I use are not a bright white. Now, I know there's a lot of videos on YouTube and they're all telling you to get this and telling you to get that. And technically, if you hear somebody telling you to get a white grow light, say 5,000 kelvins bright, they're not wrong, folks. They're telling you good information. But there's also good reason to go with pink lights. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go with pink lights. You might want to go with the white lights. I'm happy using the pink lights. Now, the truth about the white lights is the plants do absorb more of that light. So if you're growing leafy greens or something like that, you know, I'm growing lettuce back there, but if you notice, I'm still not using the bright white lights. I'm not saying I shouldn't, I'm just saying I don't. We use the pink lights because there is some research that does say that certain points of development in these plants, they need more of that red spectrum light. We already know that if it's a flower bearing or a fruit bearing variety of plant, that they do benefit greatly from that red spectrum. But the main reason I went with those pink lights are, this is my office of my workplace. Me and my wife own a company, and we're a family-owned business. It's just me and her and my son and some subcontractors. So we're in here a lot. We spend lots of time in this room. Can you imagine walking into this room with 3 grow racks with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shelves at the moment, filled with a pair, each filled with a pair of these? It would absolutely blind you. You couldn't stand to be in this room. So we went with the pink lights because we knew we could grow the plants. We knew we could start our seeds. We knew we could grow our plants. And that light would not be as rough on our eyes. So that's something for you to consider. So again, we go with the 3-foot jobs here. But in the house, my wife's little rack system, we have these little 2-foot lights. And again, these are the same brand. They're the Barina brand, the T8 LED grow lights. And these are the pink variety too. And they work really, really well. For the money, I don't know if there's a better value out there. We did like many of you did. We spent tons of time researching, or I did, trying to find good grow lights. And we were going to go to the Harbor Freight and pick up some shop lights. And we got to noticing that we weren't going to be saving no money because the cost of everything went up so much. And this was, 2 years ago, folks. The costs have come down a little bit now, and I'm happy to see that, but costs still are far above where they should be. And so we went on Amazon and we looked and read lots of reviews, and of course we wound up on these based on the reviews, and they were affordable enough that I was willing to take the risk. Don't have it wrote down, but I think, don't hold me to it folks, double check me, but I think a 6-pack of these lights, these 2-foot lights, are around $60 or $70. I do know that a 6-pack of the 3-foot lights are about $89. So if you've got a rack system and you're going to buy the Amazon Basics 5-shelf model like I've got, you've got to do the math. 2 lights per shelf, 2, 4, 6. You're going to need 2 more lights. So you've got to buy 2 sets of these. Now for me, we've got so many shelves that worked out, it's just fine. I like having a few extra because if you've been following the channel and us on Instagram or Facebook, you see we do some crazy stuff sometimes, like the little grow rack beside me. You can't see it, it's slightly off camera, but the little shoe rack that we converted to a grow station, we've got all our onions on it now, and we're using some of those 2-foot lights. So I like having them handy. But just to tell you a little bit about the lights, a lot of people, you gotta love the internet, folks. You make a video and you try to do people a solid by giving them some information they didn't have, and they fuss at you for not giving them more. Well, praise the Lord that we can rejoice in all things. But these lights, if you can see on the end, there's a little, looks like a little Mickey Mouse shaped connector. And you attach these lights with these cables here, or this little inline connector. And the power cord they come with 6 lights, 3 power cords. They come with this little power cord. You know, got your standard 3-prong plug, your Mickey Mouse end, and your little rocker switch. It's pretty good. So you can use them individually or in pairs, or you can link they make up to 8-foot models. And I'll give you some notes in case you've got bigger racks already, like what you would use in a shop or in a garage or something. The 4-foot lights, you can link 6 in series. The 3-foot lights, you can link up to 8 in series. And the 2-foot lights, you can link up to 10 in series. So what that means is one power cord can be used for 6 of the 4-foot lights, or 8 of the 3-foot lights, or 10 of the 2-foot lights. Now, when it comes to linking these up, you just plug one of these in to one light and one of these into another light. They could be side by side. They could be one row up here, one on another shelf, and that's typically what we use them for. We use them to link the pairs together and to distribute down to the lower or another level of the shelf. But these right here are rather interesting, and we used them consistently the first year when we was using a bunch of 2-foot lights. We strung them all together, and what you do is you put your little connector in, you take your light, you notice this is a 3-foot and a 2-foot, they still work together, and you just plug them in. I'm sorry, it's hard for me to do this holding in this chair, and now I've got a 5-foot light. So technically, if you was going to run some long runs of these things, that's the way to go. And the way you fasten them, you can use zip ties if you wanted to, but they come with these little clips. I just took it off for you. You clip that on there, and as you can see, I've got a chain that's hooked to it. And what you want to do is you want to order you some of these chains. And I'll link to all this stuff in the description, folks. And they attach with these S-hooks. So you click that, you hook that over the top wire on the shelf. Your lights would hang down there like that. And you would adjust the height just by reducing the number of links to the light. It's really, really simple. And they have another option. You wouldn't use them for your grow racks here, but they have a little screw option. So you would screw this little clip to the wall or to the ceiling and then click your lights in. It works really, really good. But we've been really pleased. So they also come with these little diffusers, not really diffusers, reflectors. And all you do is they're made out of aluminum. There's a little slot here in the side, and you just, well, I got to put it in the right side, folks. And you would just slip one down in here like that. Make sure all catches all the good light, and you slip one here. Sorry, they're backwards. So you got to do one from one end, one from the other end sometimes. So and there you have it. So now that makes sure all of that, none of that light's wasted. All of that light gets projected down to your plants. And for all of you that are OCD, you know there's a plug on each side of these lamps. They've got this nice little plug to cover it up with. I don't put it on none of them because I know sooner or later I'm going to change this setup. I do it quite often, and I'm not a fan of digging that plug out. So if you want a basic grow rack setup with good quality components that I've been pleased with, they've worked well for me, get you one of these 36-inch wide, 72-inch tall Amazon Basics wire kitchen shelves, the heavy-duty kitchen shelf, and get you some of these Barina grow lights and some of these chains and S-hooks. You can build you a really productive system for under $300. But now we're going to move on and tell you some other things that you might want to add and still come up around $380 to $420, just depending on the economy and availability of stuff. So that was the essentials. Now let's talk about some upgrades that you might want to consider. The very first thing will be something like this right here, this BN-Link 8-outlet surge protected power strip with timer. Now we've got several of these and I've really found them to be useful. You can buy some more expensive things. This has just got one schedule to it, but it's got 8 plugs. It's got 4 that are controlled by the timer and 4 that are always on. I find that really, really useful, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But they do make some higher end timers that have multiple outlets, that have multiple schedules, where you can even program those schedules per outlet. Those would be really nice for what I'm doing. And honestly, as much as I love to be in here with the plants, I don't really find it needful for me. Now, I'm a busy fella, work for myself, try to stay active in the church, try to help all my neighbors. So it's not like I've got all the time in the world. But I've got enough of these timers to where I've got at least one timer that's always available for each rack. And I'm not always using them per rack. It might be per row of shelves in 2 racks like what's behind me here. But I've never had a problem with the schedule. So that is the number one upgrade I would suggest. After you get your rack and after you get your lights and your chains and S-hooks, the first upgrade to consider is a good programmable timer. It'll save you a lot of frustration because you want these things to kick on in the morning and you want to cut off at night. And in case you don't know, if you're going to grow indoors, for every 1 hour of natural sunlight that your plants require, you're going to want to give them 2 hours of this artificial light. Now, you can buy a really expensive grow light that'll get you closer to natural sunlight, but there's no artificial light that's going to do as much good for your plants as what God put in the heavens. That sun just does some good stuff to our plants. The second upgrade that I would get would be some little bitty 6-inch fans. Now, again, we're sticking to a budget. Got these little Genesis 6-inch. It says Genesis Quiet 6-inch Max Breeze clip-on fan with attachable tabletop base. We got these on Amazon a few years ago. They were a little bit cheaper than they are now. I think they're running $11 a piece. Won't take that one out of the box, but if you look behind me, you can see some. But they're 6 inches around with a high and a low setting. We normally keep ours on low. Every now and again, we'll keep them on high. Like we got some fungus gnats in here one time last year, and one of the strategies was to use the fans at a higher speed to keep them moving so we could trap them to stickies. They didn't like that wind too good, and we drenched the soil with some neem tea, and that did the trick. But they come with this little base just like your traditional fans would, and you can use that in there if you got room. But what we use is the clip-on base, and you can see it clips on really well. And I will just roll back and show you. Locks in place really good. So I'd highly recommend that. And the reason you want to use some fans in your racks is to get that airflow established to keep the disease pressure down. The last thing you want to do is to raise a bunch of unhealthy seedlings and have them die when you transplant them. It's just going to be a sad day. So the very first upgrade would be a programmable timer. The second one would be a clip-on fan. Now I will mention, if you've got the budget, they're considerable more, but they do make some clip-on style oscillating fans. Real popular in the grow tent community, but they are considerably more. Now, one of the things I didn't mention about concerning the benefits of these, wind stimulates strength in those stems, makes the plants a little more, gives them a little bit more vigor. When you're growing inside, we don't have wind. The best you've got is an air vent. Well, when you're using these fans and it's blowing against those plants, it's going to make them a little stronger, help them to stay a little healthier. If you've got an oscillating fan, that increases the potential benefit to the plants. Again, we're trying to stick to a budget. I don't have them back here. All of my plants do fine. But some very well-known gardeners, one of them that I know personally, that used to live in my community, who's moved away, he would highly recommend those oscillating fans. I've even seen him use the old style fans. Many of you guys, if you're my age and older, you remember those oscillating fans that you click the buttons, you had off, 0, 1, 2, 3, just a little tabletop, kind of like a stand like this. He uses them and the floor type oscillating fans in his basement grow room, and that works really good for him. But regardless, the second upgrade you want to get is these clip-on fans. The third upgrade I'd recommend, I don't have none to show you folks, links in the description. It's these little plastic liners here. And I'll be quite honest with you. You might be the type, you don't want one of them, and that's fine. I find that they make my life easier when I'm pulling the trays out and pushing the trays in. I'm not getting caught on all those wire ribs that make up those shelves. If you've ever had to put anything in like a wire shelf that's in your closet, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you're going to take, say, this cup and lay it over there, it's not always going to fit too good. Might as well get me a drink while I got it in my hand. And it also prevents spillage and contamination with stuff falling down. I've never thought that that would be a big thing. It's never been a big thing, but I do like them. They're very affordable. Get them in a 4-pack on Amazon. I think the ones we got were the Gorilla brand. Works really good. The last upgrade on the list today would be heat mats. Now, I'm not going to advertise for anybody or nothing like that. This is a little 10 by 20 heat mat. It's good for one of our 1020 trays. Now, they make all kinds of these things, some with thermostatic controls, some you can daisy chain them together, some are 4 foot long. I don't know. I'd love to find some that were 3 foot long that would fit in these racks, but to be honest with you, I've never taken the time to see if that kind of thing even exists. We don't really use the grow mats a whole lot, the heat mats a whole lot. I did use them last year. I do think there's a benefit to them. I probably use them again this year on my tomatoes and on my peppers because it really did decrease the amount of germination time needed for those plants. They sprung up really, really fast. Now, some of these plants like lettuce, and when we start in our strawberries from seed, they didn't require none of that stuff. They needed a colder soil. But for a lot of people who's getting into this, you're probably going to be interested in getting you at least a pack of these heat mats. And I'll link to the ones we got here I think they were called Seed Factor, come in a 2-pack, pretty affordable, about 20 bucks or so. They're just low end. There's nothing fancy about them. They're not thermostatically controlled. You just plug them in. When we use these, we just leave them plugged in to the non-timed outlets on that timer so they stay going 24 hours a day until those seeds germinate. Once about 30, 40, 50% of those seeds germinate, we take them out. But like with my onions, I didn't use that at all because they like the cold, a little bit cooler season. I just put my cups in a seed tray, put a humidity dome on it, made sure they'd stay moist, put them in the back room on a box about 12 inches off the ground, and they did great. So, but a lot of you might be interested in that, and I don't blame you if you would. These seed mats would do you good. And if you're got your little greenhouse, little hoop house, something like that outside, definitely get you some heat mats. So that's everything you need to have a successful grow rack set up. Whether you're on an extremely tight budget and you go with just the racks, the lights and the hooks and the chains, or you want to add some of them upgrades in. Now there's some things I'll tell you that you're going to need regardless. You're going to need you a good indoor watering can. And I got this one off Amazon, and to be honest with you, I don't know what this is. I told my wife I had seen a little watering can on Amazon that was about a half a gallon, and I told her that it was this color and it was cheap, so she bought us some. If I can find them, or if I have time, I will also include that link in there. But this is just a little half-gallon pot, and what I like about it is its size. It's small, and it's got a nice slender spout that I can get in and water these plants. It makes life a lot easier. I'm going to reach over here, folks, and some spray bottles. Now you can see I've got 2 bottles here. The one I'm using is this little one. And honestly, I think we picked that up maybe at the Harbor Freight store. We might have got it on Amazon, I don't know, but it's just a little bitty bottle. I will keep those seeds moist by misting the tops of the seed start mix in these cups and trays. Do it about every day, every other day, depending. You know, we're inside, climate controlled, so it's not like I have to do it a lot. But when you're starting seeds, you really want to make sure that those seeds stay well hydrated. So I'd highly recommend one of these cheap little bottles. And the reason we go with these little ones isn't because of the size, it's because we find that these are too strong. Even when you adjust them and they're a real fine mist, when it's a real fine mist, it's hard to control it. You've got to do, adjust the trigger and all that stuff. But it's just far easier to use this little one right here. All right, so we went over everything that you need for your grow rack, some essentials, some upgrades, some nice things that you're going to need regardless. Now we got to talk about building this thing. Building this thing is really easy. Now, I was a commercial builder for many years, was a residential builder before that. Now me and my wife own an IT consulting company, and so we've done a little bit of everything. But depending on your aptitude to put things together and to follow instructions, it might take you a little longer. But I've tried to be fair with this thing, and the time required to set all this up is about an hour. It's not too bad. And if you've got a couple racks together, the time decreases per unit because you can do things in a series. But when I got to thinking about all this in my mind and trying to remember what we did and how we did it and how long it took, the best I could remember, it's going to take you about 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes to assemble the rack system all by yourself. In fact, I don't like having nobody help me do it. It seems like they get in the way. But they're really simple to understand. The instructions, if you follow them, everything goes up just like they say. The lights, about 30 minutes. And the main reason it's going to take that long for your lights is because you've got to do something with all those power cords. And to be honest with you, for me, that takes me the longest out of anything, is just getting the power cords all tidied up. And it's not that I'm a neat freak. I'm a safety freak. I don't want to trip. I don't want to snag. But there is an idea, you know, when people come in here to visit, I don't want them to see a wire jungle. I want things to look like they've been kept up. The fans, they just clip on. Probably take you 1 minute to assemble it. It'll take you longer to open the box than to assemble the fan. Just clip them where they go, run your wire as neat as you want to run it, plug it into your outlet, you're good to go. The tray liners, they come in a plastic bag, folks. Peel it open, lay them down. It's that quick. Setting your timer. If you've never set a timer, it might take you 10 or 15 minutes just to read it and all that stuff. Make sure you know what it's talking about. But once you've used one of these timers, it's pretty simple. It'll take you just a couple minutes. Set your timer up, plug all your things in it. And you heat match these that we use, plug and play, no programming, no setting the temperature. It's just really easy. So for under 300 bucks, if you got you some upgrades, around 400, hour of your time, you got your grow rack set up. Well, folks, there you have it. If you've ever been interested in building your own grow rack setup and just didn't know where to start, needed some advice, I hope that was a help to you. And if we were a blessing to you, if you did find value in this video, we'd sure appreciate you liking it, maybe even subscribing to the channel, sharing it with your friends. Be a great blessing to us help more people. You know, we're not really in this thing for the money. We're in it because so many folks have expressed their interest in gardening and they've come to us and asked us for help. So we're just trying to be a blessing to people. And if it goes into something else, it goes into something else. But for right now, we're just trying to be a blessing to folks. So folks, it's been wonderful. It's always a blessing to be with you. Hope you're having a great day. See you on the next video.